can be unsettling. Loud. Tony's here. Disturbing. But silence can be deafening. UFC 296 live on TNT Sports box office.
Welcome to Las Vegas. We're at the UFC Apex for official weigh-ins for UFC 296. We've got a couple of title fights, a boatload of legends, one replacement, and a partridge in a pear tree. We are finishing the year in style. I'm Adam Catterall. Pleasure as always to be in your company, and a pleasure to be with these two, Caroline Pearce and the one and only Mr. Nick Peet, because let me tell you, it has been action-packed all week this week here in Las Vegas. News story after news story after news story connected to this card. What has today got lined up for us?
Well, hopefully no more backwards and forwards between Colby and Leon. We don't want any water bottles being flown around this time, but I don't know. I mean, I think let's hope everybody weighs in. We're already really hyped and excited for this fight, and want to make sure the card makes it through and we get a good night tomorrow night.
We've still got another day to go before they actually throw down in the octagon tomorrow night, mate.
Exactly. It's listen, I don't expect any big incidents this morning, but you never know. You know, yesterday, as you said, was absolutely bonkers. But listen, you've got some of the biggest characters in the sport about to get on these scales in the next hour or two. So we know something insane is going to happen, that's for sure.
Now listen, if you've missed some of these stories, I doubt that you have, but if you have missed some of these stories, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update as to how that main card is now currently looking. Earlier on this week, of course, we heard that Ian Machado Gary was going to be off this card. He was due to be fighting Vicente Luque. That fight is not happening, and sadly Vicente Luque has not got a replacement opponent. So, boosted from the prelims, there you go, kicking off that main card, we've got Josh Emmett, who's taken on Bryce Mitchell. Again, another replacement opponent. That in the featherweight division gets us underway on TNT Sports box office at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'll give you some information on how you can purchase this card in a moment. We've got that fight between Tony Ferguson and Paddy Pimblett, who went at each other in the press conference yesterday. It was absolutely superb. We'll go over that as well a little bit later on in the programme. Nick's favourite, Shavkat Rakhmonov, is taking on my favourite, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. It is the battle of us two here on TNT Sports, and the battle of those two should be a good one in the welterweight. And then we've got the two title fights. Alexander Pantoja, brilliant earlier on this year against Brandon Moreno to become the champion, and he defends in a rematch against Brandon Royval. And then, of course, the cherry on top of the cake, right at the top of the bill, the welterweight title main event, Leon Edwards taking on Colby Covington. Sweet baby Jesus and the orphans. Are you excited? Because I am. It's going to be unbelievable. Right. We'll do the main event, right? Because that's what everybody's talking about right now. Before we get into how this is going to play out and the intricacies of the fight, we've got to recap what happened at the press conference yesterday. It was entertaining for a large percentage, and then, Caroline, it did get ugly.
Yeah, you're right. It was entertaining. We're all laughing. We're having fun with it. Leon's taken it in his stride. And then Colby took a low blow. He made a comment about Leon's father. Leon reacted as you would expect. He threw a water bottle, as we're seeing there, across at Colby. I think at that moment, is that when Colby thought, did I go too far? I don't know. Or was it a premeditated thing? That's what we don't know with Colby. You know, we know he thinks and plans a lot of what he said. But I just think for Leon, this is going to add an extra layer of fire. I think it's going to come out the gate fast in this one anyway. I don't think we're going to see some patience. I think we're going to see him come out fast anyway, even faster now. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see like a Jorge Masvidal flying knee or something crazy with the amount of anger he's probably got in him after that.
We reacted to it in the immediacy of last night. We've obviously slept on it now, and the dust has settled the touched. What did you make of that particular moment yesterday at the press conference?
It was low, it was classless, you know. But it was also unexpected because Colby's got form of going there. He's done it before. He did it when he was in Brazil. He did it with Jorge Masvidal. So, of course, I expected him to go there with Leon Edwards. Listen, it was the sour point yesterday, and it did take the edge off what was, you know, a largely entertaining press conference. But you've got to expect these things, you know. Unfortunately, he's tried to get into Leon's head, and for at least for the moment, it worked.
Yeah. Do you want to see some wicked takedown defence? Check this out from Big Steve, because they did eventually bring these two together. They did go kind of nose to nose. Leon obviously wanted to get a little bit closer in the face-off. Watch Big Steve here, mate. Watch him get hold of Leon and make sure that nothing went off. Because, as Caroline just rightfully said, emotions were running high, and you could feel it in the room as well, couldn't you?
Well, I think Leon did settle himself a little bit, didn't he? He went very quiet after that comment. He kind of allowed the rest of the press conference to carry on without him for a short while. And yeah, as you say, Big Steve stepped in. I don't think Sean Shelby was probably going to be able to do too much if things hit the fan, if you like. But
I don't know. Sean's got some good takedown defence there.
But they got close enough for us to feel that tension and that anticipation.
Yeah, I think it's going to be important today as well to keep these two gentlemen away from each other because, as John Anik once famously said, some people aren't cut from that particular cloth, and this has now got serious ramifications. We don't want the fight falling off.
No, not at all. And I don't think it was ever in any threat of falling off as well. And the UFC run a tight ship. They won't cross paths backstage, that's for sure. Just interesting, they're watching that footage back. Watch how far Colby stops. He doesn't approach Leon. He stops pretty far away. He potentially thinks, you know what, may have crossed the line. I ain't going to run the risk of this fight getting cancelled or anything. I'll stop here. And it's Leon that keeps pushing across the stage and pushing Big Steve back. You know, maybe Colby knew, but his job was to get into his head.
Yeah.
And he got into his head.
Yeah, well, that's the psychological aspect of the fight. Obviously, there's the physical aspect as well. Let's have a look at the tail of the tape, shall we? There's a little bit of an age gap there. Obviously, Colby Covington now at 35 years of age, attempting to become a champion for the third time. 2 failed previous attempts against Kamaru Usman, of course. The height advantages are with Leon. Reach pretty much similar there, and obviously you can see the records as they line up against each other. Right, come on then, let's get into it, because okay, there's talking, then there's walking. This is why we're here. Tomorrow night, it's all going to go down on TNT Sports. The prelims are going to get going from 1 a.m. in the morning, and then of course at 3 a.m. we're going to get stuck in to the main card on TNT Sports box office. Plenty of information coming your way throughout the course of the show of how you can purchase that, so make sure you stick with us. What they want to see is one heck of a fight. We're going to get one heck of a fight, aren't we? We can't not, because these two are the best welterweights on the planet.
Yeah, they're the 2 best welterweights on the planet. They don't like each other, or Leon certainly doesn't like Colby in a serious way after what happened, but Leon's a consummate professional. I mean, his skill level is insane. I think his cardio is pretty good as well. Salt Lake City, okay, was at altitude, but in that last fight against Kamaru Usman, but he's so well-rounded as well. I mean, I know Colby's going to probably want to pressure and take him to the ground, but I just think Leon is so well-rounded, and that 30% extra that Teddy Atlas talks about when you become the champion, I think we saw that in Leon last time out.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Colby's always a risk. You can see here in the footage. He's a pressure fighter. He's on the front foot. He likes to throw punches and bunches. But more than anything, it's to close the distance and him to get his hands around your waist, pick you up and put you down and put that chain wrestling together. That's what Colby's got to do, and how he's going to implement his game plan. What I don't like for Colby in this fight is that, what have you done for me lately? In the last 2 years, he's had one fight against Jorge Masvidal, and that's it, on the back of back-to-back defeats for the title against Kamaru Usman. Meanwhile, in the same time frame, Leon Edwards has gone to a completely different level. He's ended the rivalry with Kamaru Usman. He's become champion of the world, and he's really stepped up into that role of champion as well.
Got some water, son? You're getting it all out there. That's how excited you are. Go on, Caroline, you were going to say.
What I was going to say of Colby, like, his cardio is second to none. I don't think for the last couple of years he's been sitting around eating donuts and all the rest of it. I mean, he's been in the gym. He was out to Colorado training for altitude the last few weeks as well and preparing for this. But Leon responded. He said, all people talk about is his cardio. What about his skill level? He was kind of almost questioning his skill level. It's okay to have this incredible gas tank. Maybe it won't go that far. You know, I don't think Leon wants it to go that far. He said anything less than a finish, he'd be disappointed with. But I think Leon's, in my opinion, is probably the more well-rounded fighter and has been more active. And I think they talk about cage rust or ring rust. Is it a real thing? Dominic Cruz showed us it isn't. You know, some show that it is. So that's the question that we need answering.
It's all good and well being fit enough to do 5 rounds, 8 rounds, maybe even 10 rounds back to back. But if you're losing all them rounds, what's the point?
Another thing to mention as well, Colby keeps saying, I know he's just baiting Leon, but he keeps saying, well, who have you fought? And I want to put my hand up and say, Kamaru twice and beat him.
Yeah.
You fought Kamaru twice and didn't beat him, albeit one was close. But,
listen, the interesting stat in and around Colby Covington getting the opportunity to fight for a title again this weekend, if you look down the ranked fighters in the welterweight division, he is the only, well, I'll say the only one, out of the top 14, he's the only one that does not have a win over any of the other ranked fighters. Now, of course, he does have historical good wins. Rafael Dos Anjos, he's got Tyron Woodley on the resume, but as you're both pointing out, he hasn't been here for a long time. This division has moved along a lot in 2 years whilst he's not been fighting.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going to play a massive part in what we see tomorrow night?
I think so, yeah. I think this fight goes one or two ways. If Colby can get a real good start and get to Leon early and be able to close that distance intelligently without getting hurt and win that first round dominance, I think we're going to have a real entertaining potential fight of the night contender. But if Leon starts piecing them up early on, it's suddenly the difference in the skill set and the technique is at the level that it could well be, that it could be an absolute masterclass shutout for Leon Edwards.
It's one thing we haven't spoken about as well is the fact Donald Trump's going to be in the building saying, and Colby said that he's Donald Trump's favourite fighter, and he said, I will not lose in front of the former president.
But he has.
But he has done before.
He has
But
before,
he
he has before. But I think there's even more anticipation around it this time.
Yeah.
He's going to wrap the belt around his waist if he's to win.
Can you imagine that from a visual point of view? Donald Trump wrapping the UFC welterweight championship belt around the new champion. Well, we'll find out whether that is going to materialise into
Boris Johnson
realisation.
flying in and
Don't
putting the belt
start.
around.
Don't start.
Someone said in the press conference. I think it was Oscar Willis.
Yeah. Listen, we'll find out whether that is going to materialise tomorrow evening, of course. For further information on how you can purchase and watch this phenomenal event, and it really is, it's stacked from top to bottom. TNT Sports TNT Sport 1 is your destination for the prelims. 1 a.m. is when it all gets going. 3 a.m. in the morning, box office is the place to go. All the information on screen for you right now of how to get involved. As you can hear, John Annett's just piping up in the background, so we're about to get stuck into the weigh-ins for UFC 296. And we're starting with the co-main event. Look at this, Brandon Royval hitting the scales nice and early. Listen, he was fantastic last time out against Matthias Nicolau, a man that I tipped. And I'm sure we're going to have plenty of conversations about this over the next few weeks as we do our wrap-up of the year. I tipped Matthias Nicolau to be champion by the end of the year, but Royval absolutely ended that conversation, Nick.
He did, and he's in phenomenal form. The reason he's here, the reason he's got a quick turnaround and a fight against the champion, Pantoja, despite losing against him just a couple of fights ago, is the form he's in. He's won 3 on the spin since, and his last 2 have been first round finishes. He's making statements. He's here on merit.
And bonuses as well. These two are
Absolutely.
bonus earning machines.
The energy around him this week has been really nice as well. He's got a really nice aura about him as Brandon Royval. But he's going to have to get nasty because he's in with a nasty. This is not me being horrible, but when the door shuts, he's a nasty piece of work. He's Alexander Pantoja.
Yeah, Pantoja thinks he's above this level now. He's beat this kid before. Why have I got to do it again? He's coming to make a little bit of a statement.
And he showed he does well in rematches as well. That rematch with Moreno, he'd already beat him the first time, beat him again to win the title, and this is another rematch. You've got to imagine his confidence is going to be at an all-time high.
I think statistically as well, I know you like statistics, Adam.
I love a fact.
Statistically,
Give me a fact.
I think it's 62% of rematches in the UFC in the history of the organisation go the way of the first fight. So Royval is up against it.
Yeah. And also Royval hasn't...
Look at you, stat man. I love that.
I can use that one.
Yeah.
And also Royval hasn't fought for 5 rounds before in the UFC.
Yeah.
And he's been running 10 miles we've seen in training, but... Okay.
Listen, it's, we were talking yesterday, weren't we, in the review of everything that we saw at the press conference. There's guaranteed bonuses on this card, but as you look at that co-main event, just the way that they match up, you kind of know that it's going to be something special.
Yeah, I think, as I said yesterday, this has sort of flown under the radar a little bit, but this flyweight division is so exciting now. To imagine that it was almost going to potentially
Correct.
go at one point, and then from Figure and Moreno and
become so
now
exciting,
to
hasn't it?
Royval and Pantoja. So
Right,
exciting.
hang on a minute. Nick's got love arts in his eyes.
No need to make championship weight there when you're the next contender in line. Listen, he's a phenomenal fighter, of course. His record speaks for itself. 17 fights, 17 wins, 17 finishes. He is coming like a freight train for a title shot in 2024, but this is a big test for him. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is a step up in previous opponents.
He does have that aura, that special aura around him, Rashad Khan. Listen, Wonderboy, everybody knows what I feel about Wonderboy. He's one of my favourite fighters. I love watching the guy fight. He's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. Okay, he's fallen short at the top level in the UFC. But it's absolutely a step up for Shavkat. This is as big as it's got for him so far, especially fighting in front of a huge crowd at the T-Mobile tomorrow night.
And we saw in his last fight against Jeff Neal, he was tested more than he had. And
Absolutely.
this is a huge jump up. And I think, but for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, so we're looking at Andre Fili obviously here, but for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he makes it. I think it's a case of showing, like, can he still get back to that title shot? I think this is the fight that tells us, is he going to get back to that title shot, or is it a case of some kind of fun competitive fights towards the end of his career, age 40 now? But he said he's hugely inspired by people like Glover Teixeira doing it after the age of 40, and he feels still in the best shape of his life.
Well, he's got that Benjamin Button juice going on, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He doesn't look anywhere near 40 years of age. And from what we've seen, actually, when he's on the mat and he's doing his thing, he doesn't look like he's slowing down. There's certain fighters that do start to get to 37, 38, 39 years of age, and you start to see them physically slowing down. he still has those fast twitch fibre muscle, and it just seems to be still there for him.
It seems to be still there, but in reality, when you get to the very top of this level, is it still there? You know, and only Stephen Wonderboy Thompson can answer those questions. Of course, he looks phenomenal. We'll see him on the scale shortly. He does not look like your average 40-year-old man, that's for sure. But it's that, as you say, it's that fast twitch muscle fibre at the very highest level. Is it still there? If it isn't, he's going to be in trouble against Shavkat.
Interesting narrative around Josh Emmett. Of course, went on a brilliant run. Got into the fight with Yair Rodriguez, came up short. He is, again, we're talking about those more mature athletes now at the back end of the 30s.
Yeah.
Can he go again? That's a big question for him tomorrow night.
Look, he has the experience, he has the pressure, the wrestling, the heart. I mean, okay, lost 2 straight, but to Ilia Topuria, who's now fighting for the title, and of course Yair Rodriguez taking that interim title, but part of Team Alpha Male. I mean, he's just an absolute beast, an absolute animal. He's at the latter end of his career, but you can't question his heart and I think his ability as well to get this done.
How does Casey bounce back? That again, that's another big question, isn't it? We saw her in London at UFC 286 earlier on in the year, suffering her first professional defeat in the octagon. This is a big question for her this weekend. Can you bounce back on the final show of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's going to be some big questions asked, and it's the right opponent for her, Ariane Lipski, but she won't have to go looking for her.
Speaking of questions, we haven't seen this man since this time last year, here in Las Vegas against Jared Gordon. Everybody knows how that fight played out, and he's been out injured. It's been a frustrating 12 months for Paddy. You spent a bit of time with him recently, Nick, at home, which is available on TNT Sports. You can check it out. Where's his head at?
Frustrated, you know, and he wants to put it right, and he's had to spend a year listening to people, not only the fact he couldn't train, couldn't go to the gym, he had a boot on his ankle, but also listening to people online, social media. One-time fans of Paddy Pimblett come at him guns blazing, criticise him for his performance, criticise him for his comments in the octagon after fighting Jared Gordon as well. And he's, you know, it's been a really tough time for him, I've got to be honest. But listen, he can put all that behind him tomorrow night. Get in that cage, throw down with Tony Ferguson. All is forgotten. Move ahead in 2024.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to speak to Paddy at some point throughout the course of the morning, so make sure you stick around.
This is important.
This is very important because obviously we've not seen anybody connected to the championship fight as of yet. Bilal Muhammad is here because he is the backup fighter. He'll be hopefully, in doing this, be cementing his place as the next in line for a championship shot.
Oh, underweight.
Perfect. Well done, Bilal.
He's a pro, isn't he?
We've seen Bilal out in Abu Dhabi, and he said he was going to be here, he said he was going to weigh in, he said he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yep.
And the reason why, Colby Covington weighed in London when Leon fought Kamaru Usman, and it cemented his position as next contender, and that's exactly why Bilal is here today, to make sure that, okay, he probably won't get his chance tomorrow night, but he's definitely next.
Yeah.
And like Leon, he's earned it, he's waited for it, he hasn't been given any sort of handouts and get into this position. I hope he gets the next shot, but of course with Wonderboy and Shavkat, if something spectacular happens, I wonder if he'll start to question, are they going to jump over me again?
Yeah, because it happened to Leon for such a long period of time before he got his shot. But you're right in what you've just said, Caroline. If we were just giving people what they've earned, Bilal Muhammad would absolutely be the person waiting for the winner of the main event come the weekend. Here we go. I really do like this guy. His attitude, everything about him is just fantastic, and his performance last time out against Brandon Moreno, he is a savage. He would not be denied that night.
No, he wouldn't. And to be honest, I could see that in his eyes at the back end of last year, which is why I tipped him to become champion this year when he got his opportunity. Just being around Pantoja right now, just seeing the way he's fighting, how he's approaching fights, the way he's talking outside of the octagon, the way he's performing inside the octagon, you knew this was a fighter at the peak of his powers. He's took his opportunity, he's beaten Moreno, he's got that belt now, and he's here to make a statement to say, this is the start of my reign as flyweight champion. I'm going to hold on to this belt for a long time.
Yeah. And he's already beaten Brandon Royval. He's already got that second round submission over him.
He'll have that confidence, but he's got a great team behind him as well at ATT. I mean, some of the best fighters in the world train there, and that confidence level is so high with him. Not only that, you go into this fight as the champion the way he does. You did what he did to Brandon Moreno. He also knows, I know math doesn't always work that way, but he knows that Royval's lost to Moreno. It's you start to think, come on, I've got this one.
This guy's beneath me.
Yeah. Well, the good news is for everybody tuning in to the live weigh-in show this morning is that we do have one championship fight. That's good. There you go. So both of those flyweights have been through. They're done and dusted. They're off to go and rehydrate, and hopefully they'll come and join us for a little bit of a chinwag sometime soon. So the core main event is in the books. Flyweight title will be on the line, and it's my tip the fight of the night, all right? So make sure you don't miss it. It should be an absolute firecracker. I think it's only fair that we start to preview some of it. John, I was just about to get stuck into the preview of another fight, but here we go. This is more important right now. Let's get stuck in here, because Tony Ferguson is about to hit the scales.
Anybody else having been around Tony this week, anybody else with the demeanour he's had, the way he's reacted to certain things, the comments he's been saying, you'd think this is a guy that's rattled, this is a guy that's not in the right headspace, this is a guy that's a little bit all over the place. But guess what? That's Tony Ferguson his entire career. He's always been that guy. He's always been unpredictable. He's always been a little bit of a renaissance man. And what we're getting is typical Tony Ferguson. It's expect the unexpected.
And I think a lot of the narrative this week has been around him training with David Goggins and even Paddy saying, don't kill yourself, is this a sensible thing to do? But that's all been about mindset, that sort of mental fortitude, which only someone like David Goggins can probably install in you to the next level. So I'm interested to see what mindset, what version of Tony Ferguson we get. Much has been made about this 6-fight losing streak, but to the best guys in the division. So this is the fight where I think if he loses to Paddy, it's like, Paddy's not ranked yet, albeit obviously a very talented fighter. Is this the time that Tony hangs it up? And I know we have this conversation probably for the last 3 fights that we've seen Tony in, but would this be the fight?
Interesting that the Goggins link-up, as you say, is based on cardio, based on mental strength, based on mental fortitude. Tony Ferguson's never struggled with any of them.
Yeah, but I think when
that's never been a problem.
No, I know what you mean, but I think when you've been around as long as Tony has and you're losing, you're like, I've got to find something else. And you keep looking in different directions for what that is. Physically, it's probably like, I've done all the training methods, I'm as fit as I can be. Okay, this is going to sort of challenge my endurance, my strength endurance further, but mentally, what extra edge can I get? And he hasn't suffered with it, but if you can take it to the next level, and as he said at the press conference, no one else sat here can do what I did. And I think if he feels that confidence in that gives him a mental edge, maybe.
But should a 39-year-old mixed martial artist with miles on the clock be doing David Goggins' Hell Week challenge with his body already breaking down and the lack of movement Tony's got now? He doesn't move the way he used to anymore. He used to be very fluid, very cerebral. He moves like an old man now. So taxing the body in that way, is that ultimately a good thing? I don't know. We're going to find out.
They're the questions,
exactly.
We need answers to.
Could you complete it? This is your
one.
You could easily do
the athlete in me is like, yeah, of course, but I'd be asking how many reps, how much longer, and Tony said that's the question you don't ask when you train with David Goggins. I like to know where's the finish line.
The matchup just seems like something made in heaven, doesn't it? I mean, anybody that's ever spent any time in Tony's company and in David Goggins' company, they're very similar characters. You can see how that has kind of come together.
I'd love to know how that conversation went, how it did come together in the first place. But you know, in terms of Paddy, I think it was interesting at the press conference yesterday because Paddy's talked about Tony was a hero of him, someone that he admired and looked up to.
He's a hero of many, isn't he?
And then you hear this person who obviously you want to beat, but a hero of yours talking to you the way he was, don't care about you, all the rest of it. I wonder if there's a part of you, like the younger you, that was looking up to Tony going, you're talking about, well, you like me.
Fight week though, isn't it?
I think that's why Paddy was quick to pick up on he's blocked me on Instagram, because it's a bit like, you obviously followed me and I've respected you and I've followed you your entire career, and for you at this point to go, I don't want him to know what I'm up to, does feel a little bit childish. But then I also understand why Tony's like, why do you care? Why do you care? Well, because he looked up to you, that's why he cares.
And I don't think Tony's someone that overthinks blocking someone. It was just probably bump, done.
It's outside, out of mind, isn't it? You know, I don't want to know what you're getting up to, I'm concentrating on me. And I kind of like that narrative that Tony's been throwing around this week, that I'm not interested in what he does, I'm not interested in what Paddy's been getting up to, I'm interested in me, getting me in the right headspace. And we saw yesterday what the fans feel of him. I think if it was anybody else other than Paddy, I know that there's obviously emotional connections on the team to Paddy. I think every proper MMA fan is actually rooting for Tony to get that moment again, aren't we?
Every interview, every time Paddy gets a microphone stuck in his face, he says the same thing. I want Tony to go out with a win, just not against me, not at my expense. You know, so listen, I've got a feeling, regardless of how this fight goes, there will be a lot of respect post-fight.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think, you know, a lot of well wishes moving forward as well in the future. So,
do you know what I want? I need it to get into the second round, because I just want to see what a David Goggins in between rounds prep talk.
Team talk.
Oh, mate, I need to hear it.
He'd probably come back to the corner and say, drop and give me 20. And he'll have Tony Ferguson doing press ups in the corner between rounds.
But that's the noise. David Goggins is going to be in Tony Ferguson's corner.
Yeah, but listen, Tony's been there, done it, owns the t-shirt shop. He doesn't need someone in the corner to say, you know, go left instead of going right. Try working off a jab. He just needs someone in the corner to pick him back up and go,
familiar face.
Let's go. We train for this, push on through. And that's what Goggins lives for, isn't it?
Listen, what an opportunity though from a Paddy point of view to get someone like a Tony Ferguson on the resume? Because with all due respect, up to this point, those names aren't there as of yet. And I know that Tony now isn't ranked. He's the former interim champion. Been there, done it, got the T-shirt, been in with the best. That massive win streak of 12 fights on the spin that he had. This is a big night for Paddy.
Huge night. You know, he's taking on a legend in Tony Ferguson. And I think Tony's still dangerous. Okay, he might be slowing down, but he still throws those spinning elbows at quite a pace. They're sharp, they're nasty. His submissions, his work on the ground is still Tony Ferguson. But I think if Paddy gets a win over Tony, that propels him into the conversation with those bigger names. And I'm just curious, where do you think that takes him? What sort of names should he be calling out? If he gets a win over Tony?
I think a win over Tony Ferguson lands him in one position only, and that's a ranked fighter. He's got to get somebody in the top 50 next. And Paddy wants that. That's what he's chasing after, you know. He doesn't want to, you know, kind of keep going down the legends track. He wants somebody in the top 15. I spoke to his coach, Paul Rimmer. Paul Rimmer's like, I'd give him someone in the top 10, top 5. And people might laugh at that, but he's like, we need to know, and I want to know. I believe Paddy is good enough to compete with anybody in this division. Let's give him somebody in the top 10.
Yeah, he's had a long time out with the ankle injury. He probably wants to keep active and see where he can go.
Right, do you want some... we're just about to bring in some positive energy. Yeah, let's do it, Brandon. Come on, man. Let's do it, man. I know that you were off there for a split second. Just come in a second here, buddy. Come in. Come round. Come all the way around. No, don't you worry. This man he's been providing the positive energy, the smiley face throughout the whole course of the week. First and foremost, how was it like over the last 12, 24 hours making that weight, my friend?
Oh, it was one of the easier weight cuts. I only did 2 sits, so one of the easier weight cuts I've ever had to do.
See, I told you had a smiley face. There you go.
Yeah,
that's a man that's had a decent cut.
Yeah, that's a man who actually dieted for this fight, so didn't mess this one up, so I'm happy about that.
When you go into this one, obviously there's the chance to get the belt, to become the champion, but also to get a win over a man that's beaten you before. Is it sort of like a double motivation in that sense? Like, there's so much to play for here.
Yeah. I just feel like it's so suiting to my life that I feel like I always mess things up the first time with the first go around. I feel like I'm always one of the people that I have to learn lessons, and nothing ever goes right the first time. So I feel like the constant theme of my life is just persistence and growth through that. And it's just so suiting that I'll win the belt by revenging a loss, you know?
You're in incredible form right now, Brandon. Back-to-back first-round finishes. But this is your first 5-round fight as well. Are you keen to get in there and keep this first-round run going? Are you going to pounce on him early on, Pantoja? Or are you thinking, you know what, I need to keep 25 minutes in the tank?
I think I would ideally want to get out of there as soon as
Go for it, man.
Anytime I can get out of the ring is a great day, but that being said, I live in the Mile High City. I train in elevation, and I'm a cardio-based athlete and a cardio-based fighter, and I feel like I pride myself off of that. So if we go 25 minutes, so be it. It's just more experience, more times I get to live my dream, you know? So it's just enjoying the journey while it's here, you know?
What I really liked about the Nicolau performance, obviously the finish is sensational, you're doing it against an elite level operator, but it was more, once that had been done, there was a clear mindset of what you wanted next, where you wanted to go next. And that feels like that's happened over this little run that you're on at the moment. There has been a mentality switch, that something's gone. Has there been something where maybe with yourself, you've gone, right, okay, guys, I want to get to this, so I've got to change a few things up, lifestyle-wise, training-wise, in order to get to the top?
Yeah, for sure. It's just, if I want to be a champion, I have to start performing like a champion. I have to start acting like a champion. And if I go in there and brawl like a jabroni that I am sometimes, then I'm never going to be champion. You know, I might win these performances, but I'll also lose some fights because of that too. And it's like, I don't want to take any more losses in the UFC. I want to perform at an elite level. I'm capable of that. I feel like if you put my skill set against anybody in the UFCs or anybody in the flyweight division, I'm way better than them. That being said, is sometimes my mentality will get me into fights and some losses. And
cold head, man. That's what's needed, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's exactly. I'm a fighter at heart. I love being in a brawl. I love being in the mix. I feel like that's when I'm the most alive. It's funny, sometimes I watch my fights and I'll be in the middle of exchanging and brawling with somebody and I'll be smiling the whole entire time. And it's like, it's one of those I live for those moments. It's always been me, and it's always been me. Like when I was a little kid, I was fighting like that. So now that I'm an elite level fighter, it's just like I don't need to be fighting like that. I have that if I need to be, but that's plan C, D, you know. I don't need that to be plan A every time.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of respect between the two of you at the press conference yesterday, but with what was going on around you with Leon and Colby and all, what was going through your mind at that point? What was your take on that whole press conference? Because you had the best seat in the house.
Yeah, I was just enjoying the moment. I feel like I don't really like talking too much anyways. I'm not really the best at that situation, and it's like I feel like all the guys up there, the all the most dangerous people up there are the ones that weren't doing all the talking. It's like the one that's not finishing fights out of everybody was the one that's dressed like a fucking asshole. And, am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, well, apologies for the language, but it's okay. You can express yourself.
Okay, yeah, my bad on that. But yeah, it was just kind of funny because I'm pretty sure out of like everybody up there, Pantoja and I have the most finishes, and it's like that's why we respect each other so much, because I'm going against a killer and he's going against a killer, you know.
The finish rate between you two is ridiculous.
Yeah. I have a 93% finish rate. I've only not finished one person in the UFC, and he did a fake tap, and it's like that's the only reason I don't have a finish on that. I have a 100% finish rate in the UFC, if you're asking me, and then I have one to not finish outside the UFC. Other than that, I would have a 100% finish rate.
Bro, we're getting a bonus tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. I'm getting a finish. I'm getting a bonus, and I'm proving to the world that I'm the most dangerous flyweight that's ever touched that octagon, and I'm the most skilled flyweight that ever touched that octagon.
What a wonderful way to finish this conversation.
Absolutely.
This man is ready, and he is ready to rock and roll. Bro, you put that down, go and get yourself rehydrated properly, and enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Go
Take
out.
care.
Hey, buddy.
Superstar. There you go. Brandon Royval, he's in the co-main event tomorrow. Flyweight title on the line, taking on Alexandre Pantoja. Listen, we've been hyping it all week. It's going to be a sensational fight. He's ready to go. Alexandre is ready to go. We'll hopefully speak to him as well very, very shortly. You are definitely not going to want to miss that fight. Make sure you're tuning in to TNT Sports box office from 3 a.m. That's when the main card gets going. The prelims will be going from 1 on TNT Sports 1. He's got me revved up now.
Me too, absolutely. And the crazy thing is, just this morning I was watching footage of him from the Embedded show where he was ice skating with his niece just last week.
He's a
was
lovely
being
lad.
this doting uncle and a lovely guy and a family guy and everything else, and then he comes here and he's like, listen, I'm the most dangerous flyweight that's ever lived. And I'm like, yeah baby, yeah you are. Let's go.
That's switch. I love his take on the press conference as well. That He said the most dangerous were those that weren't talking.
It's always the
the way.
quietest. It's always the quietest.
Beware
in
the
room.
quiet man in the room. Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen, what a fight that is going to be. And just like we were just saying there, he is a nice fella. All this, they do have normal lives, these people that we admire and we're lucky enough to be around on a regular basis. But they do have something, like he was saying there, he laughs, he smiles at violence, at ultimate chaos.
Yeah.
And that is the most fascinating thing when we get to speak to these people.
I'd be doing David Goggin lunges in the opposite direction. I think if someone was smiling at me whilst trying to sort of keep my head in. Silent killers.
But listen, that's part of the reason why not only are we in love with these athletes, but that's why mixed martial arts as an organisation, as a sport, has grown so quickly and so fast, because there are people all around the world that are born with that gladiator blood in them. And if it wasn't for this sport,
Absolutely.
then maybe Brandon Royval ends up fighting in the street one too many times and ends up in jail and goes down the wrong path. And maybe early on when he was a child, his family were like, stop getting into fights, what are you doing? And now this sport provides him and many like him with the perfect platform to do what they love to do. That's throw down and enjoy it. Not fight or flight. They choose fight every time, and this sport gives them that opportunity.
Mr. Jacoby about to hit the scales.
This one's kicking off the prelims, the
Yeah.
final fight on the prelims. Sorry, it's been promoted now with Emmett and Mitchell going up. Menafield versus Jacoby. These guys have got serious power. He's got 13 finishes in 19 wins. Menafield, who weighed in earlier on, 13 finishes in 14 wins. No judges required. These two are going to knock 7 bells out of one another.
Every time you do this on the show, right, you give
goes
it
the distance.
You give it the kiss of death, right? If that's going 15 minutes, you can guarantee that.
Yeah, exactly.
But on paper, it does look like an exciting matchup, because both of those guys, as Nick just said, have got fantastic finish rates.
Yeah, and he's a world-class kickboxer as well. And I think having been promoted now, bumped up the card, I think that's a really good spot for both of them, and sort of on that cusp of entering that top 10 in the division.
Since because he's been juggling glory kickboxing level, and he's top 10, one of the best kickboxers in the world, but he was juggling that with his mixed martial arts career for a long time. Since he stopped kickboxing and focused on MMA purely in this second stint with the UFC, he's 9 fights unbeaten.
Are you surprised that it's that fight that's been boosted to the prelims, especially when we've got the former champion Cody Garbrandt on those prelims too? And the interesting thing about that fight, and I'm sure you've picked up on this throughout the course of the week with the content that we've been making, the Cody Garbrandt-Brian Kelleher fight, Brian Kelleher weighed in a little bit earlier on, has been a fan-made fight. It was made by a fan, which Cody Garbrandt kind of pushed the fan along into the meeting with Nick and Sean Shelby and what have you to get on the fight. I thought they could have made a feature out of it if they'd done it with a feature prelim. So my long-winded question is, are you surprised that the big boys got the feature prelim over the former champion?
Yeah, potentially. But again, we've just sold Minifield Jacoby exactly why it is. More than likely, someone's going to get carried out of that octagon, and people love to see a little bit of violence. That's why they tune in.
Listen,
But in
Cody has
a
got
name value though
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Cody Garbrandt. I think he is one of the most skilled fighters that
I
we've
love
seen.
watching Cody Garbrandt.
Striking is in, but he had such a fast rise at such a young age, didn't he? To being the champion.
what was he? 25, 24, 25 years of age when he got there.
He was so young, and then he's had some knockout, been knocked out and had sort of several back-to-back losses. But new team, second fight here in Vegas now since he moved to Vegas to be close to his son. He seems like a happier fighter. You've spoken to
Miles
him,
happier,
and
yeah.
I want to see him climb back up the ladder. I think there's no reason why he's
Still
still
only
young,
32.
still young,
Yeah, yeah.
but he hasn't got what it takes yet.
Absolutely, and he's got the best teeth in MMA. They are unbelievable.
And the best beard. His beard is just absolutely chiseled. Every time I see him, I'm like, is that beard tattooed on? It's perfect.
The man crushing going on here.
Massive man crushing going on.
I
Tell
respect
you.
the good beard.
And he's got absolute dynamite in that right hand, hasn't he? We saw it against Hassan Sal. That knockout was ridiculous. He threw it from his ankles. It came up from here, and then he delivered one of the knockouts of the year.
But that's why he's become Mr. Entertainment, though, as
Yeah.
well, because he's been catching a few big shots on the chin and going over himself
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah.
He's never quite got back to the level he was when he was champion. After losing the belt to TJ Dillashaw, there's been as many knockout victories as there has been defeats.
Losses,
And
yeah.
psychologically, that's a tough thing to overcome, Teddy Atlas has a great explanation about knockouts and believes in 80% of knockouts, whether it be boxing or MMA, is in the mind. It's your brain switching off rather than the power going lights out. It's your brain saying, uh-oh, this is what happens to us when we get hit. We go down and we stay down. Snapping that and coming out of that is so incredibly difficult.
He's done it recently, though, hasn't he?
He has.
Well,
He's done it
his
recently.
last fight, I thought he took measured is the wrong word, but he took a more
You're right. Measured is the right word.
patient
Yeah, absolutely.
approach in order to get himself back
He
in
was
the win
thinking,
column.
very similar
Yeah.
to what Royval was just saying there. Thinking about it rather than getting involved in a brawl.
Yeah.
And I actually think the matchup with Brian Keller suits both guys. Both
Yeah,
guys
of
are
course.
superb at what they do, and I think it's going to be very fan-friendly, that fight.
Yeah. I think Cody back in his proper weight division as well. As you say, the journey he's been on, he even tried flyweight. That definitely didn't work for him. He's come back where he's comfortable now. Listen, he's a big-time fighter. This is a big-time event. And we should see the best of Cody Garbrandt.
Can't wait for that fight. Should be an absolute firecracker, and hopefully we'll get to speak to Cody, mainly just because we can fanboy on him when he does arrive. If you've just joined the Wayne Show, just to let you know, we haven't had the main event as of yet. We haven't had Leon Edwards or Colby Covington come through. Still waiting for Wonderboy, Stephen Thompson, and Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell, of course, stepped in really late on this. Hopefully everything's all right with Bryce. I'm sure it will be. The backup fighter for the main event, Bilal Muhammad, came through. He's on weight. He's ready to go should anything happen to that main event. And the co-main event, which is the flyweight world title, done, dusted. They are already rehydrating. We're still waiting for Irene Aldana and the man that we've just been speaking about there, Cody Garbrandt. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fighters still to go. Everybody else been through. No misses as of yet, which is always a good thing, isn't it, man?
It is. Listen, on a big event like this, it's the end of the year closing event. The good thing is as well, I think we've got one heavyweight fight on this card,
Yep.
and they've both weighed in.
Yep.
That's unusual.
It's
No one's
insane.
keeping us waiting.
It's insane.
Must be a good breakfast at the hotel that they all want to get
Want
back
to
for.
rush back for the buffet, yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I think as well, Shavkat wasn't going to risk missing weight against Wonderboy because Wonderboy is not going to take a fight against an opponent that misses weight anymore. He showed
Correct.
that last time out against
That's right.
Michelle Pereira, so he's set that
Yeah.
standard now.
Well, he said, didn't he, after the Darren Till thing in Liverpool, he said, I will never, ever do that again. And listen, I back him over that. We've talked about weight missing and failing to make weight extensively on previous shows. I think the UFC themselves need to take a bit of a harder line.
Shall we let him have a moment? Tell you what, let's do it. Let's get stuck into that fight because it is, in Nick's eyes, the people's main event as Shavkat Rakhmonov is here back in Las
Kazakhstani
Vegas.
people's main event,
back
that's
in
for
Las
sure.
Vegas, taking on one of the best. It's Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Talk me through it, mate. Come on. Tell me why you're so excited about
In
it.
Kazakh, please.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
should show me
exactly.
this
Yes,
morning.
I
He
am.
speaks a bit of the
Exactly,
language now.
yeah. Listen, he's a special athlete. I think people are realising that now. There's no hiding the fact that he's doing it at the top level in the sport. It's all good and well being undefeated with all finishes outside of the UFC, but most people do. It starts slowing down the finish rate. It hasn't slowed down at all for Shavkat Rakhmonov. But Stephen Thompson, former title contender, is absolutely a step up, even at this stage of his career. Look at him. 40-year-old men don't look like that. He is not a normal 40-year-old man. That is damn sure. But Listen, Shavkat has got something very special coming on. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. You know, he is 17-0 with 17 finishes. It's something we've never seen before in the sport, and yet he just rides into every single fight full of confidence, cool, calm, collected, and he finds a way. Last time out against Jeff Neal, that was a tough fight. That was the first time we've seen real questions asked of Shavkat. And what did he do? He gets a finish in the final round just to keep that record going. Phenomenal.
Absolutely, and obviously nice to see a little bit of respect between two athletes on the face-offs there as well. They won't be cuddling tomorrow, let me tell you. They will be throwing down. It should be an absolute firecracker of a fight. And again, this is always nice to bring in a guest to come and have a little bit of a chat, because the champ is here. That's his right. Flyweight world champion, Alexander Pantoja. He's just waiting for us by the side. Come in, my friend.
Hello, guys.
How are you? Great to see you again, sir.
Sorry, my hair. I just cut my last pounds.
Oh, it's not good enough.
Come on, comb.
Listen, on a serious note, we haven't seen you since you became champion. What a performance. Congratulations, man. That was just a sensational night to be a part of and to be cage side to watch.
Yeah, I love to watch that fight. You know, I have I wait a couple of times to watch the fight because I want to keep in my mind. But after I watched the first time in TV, I watched like 100 times because that fight is amazing. You know, I love this sport. I love what I do, because I don't. This time I'm not try to be humble, but I love watch my fights. You know, all the time I go to octagon for doing my best. You know, I train very hard for that. I start to training when I have 12. My first fight when I have 17. I have 33 right now. Long journey, and I still learn. You know, I still learn too much in my gym. You know, and I always keep try put something new. In this fight, you're gonna see the best Pantoja ever.
It's got a good ending, hasn't it? That fight.
Sorry.
The fight that you keep watching over and over again, it's got a really good ending. You know, when they put the belt on, it's a nice finish.
Yeah. You know, Moreno gave to me one very good fight. You know, I expect that, and he gave to me the prime Moreno. He do very well that night, and I love to watch the fight when I love to the end. And then one of the judges give me a little emotion more. You know, when he's going to say 49 for 46 for Moreno. That's a little crazy for me because I watched a couple of times. For me, I'll score 4-1, but that's okay. I won that fight. Now tomorrow have a big fight to come. You know, big show. I love to thinking about T-Mobile Arena full UFC giving to me that opportunity. They all show for me.
Yep.
I love that.
What type of fight are you expecting from Royval? I mean, obviously you faced one another before, but what version of him are you expecting in this fight?
Super excited fight, you know. I love to watch a Royval fight too, you know. He's very humble guy, very good jiu-jitsu, very aggressive, you know. He don't stop anytime. I expect to make the fight of the night. I don't know how this fight gonna finish, but I'm sure he's gonna make the fight of the night with that guy, you know. I want to take all the spotlights for me and him.
Alexander, just pause. If we could just pause for 1 second, because Colby's just about to hit the scales. Obviously, this is the main event for the welterweight championship. Just want to make sure that everything's ticking here a little earlier on, just in case you just joined us.
No customer right now.
Yeah, fingers crossed, no costume. Yeah, no costume. Yeah. Earlier on, Bilal Muhammad, midweight. So he's the backup fighter for this. We haven't seen Leon Edwards the champion as of yet, but here's Colby Covington about to hit the scales. There you go. Half a pound under. 169.5 for Colby Covington. Hopefully he'll come and join us on the show and we can have a little bit of a chat very, very shortly. But back to you, Alexandre. The emotions afterwards, backstage, when you became champion, getting to see your wife, getting to see your children. Again, I can see you smiling about that. I mean, that must have been some feeling.
Having my family with me, that's everything, you know. Now I have a possibility to bring all my family again to this fight. I wake up today 5 in the morning to cut my last pounds, and my kids wake up and say, "Hey, Dad, I can go with you." I say, "Sure." And he gave me a very good energy to cut the last pounds. He's right here, right now. He enjoy all he do it, all his daddy do it, and that's nice because he watch all the process and see how much hard is that, you know.
Absolutely.
And he can learn with that too, you know. For me, my family is everything, you know. I'm here with you guys, but Sunday I back to my home and keep with my family, you know. That's everything for me, and I want to pass that for the world, you know. For now, the world is very confused, you know. I see a lot of
bad things,
bad things in the social media and everything. And I want to pass something really nice, because I think the family is everything, you know. If you don't look around, you know, looking inside the home, you know, that's the message, you know.
You're from American Top Team, one of the most famous and successful gyms in the world. Lots of great champions have been through there, but a lot of those champions have stepped away now. How important was it for you to step forward and become the next champion of ATT and keep that tradition going of the home of champions?
And yesterday, the ATT grabbed the one more title, you know, the Gym of the Year again.
That's
you know?
right, yeah.
Oh,
So
the World MMA Award.
You know,
Yeah.
and I learned a lot with that champions, you know. I learned with Joanna Dutich, I learned with Amanda Nunes, I learned with Junior Cigano how to be a champion, you know. And I'm thinking I'm still humble with that, you know. When I back to the gym after my little vacation, after grab the title, when I go to the gym, after this little vacation, everybody beat me. You know, and I don't feel I'm champ, you know, in that's time. And then I need to work, because I want to prove again I want to be a champion December 16, you know. That's my mind, you know. And the training partners from America Top Team gives me that, you know. All the hard training gives me that, you know. And I'm very glad to be a part of the America Top Team.
I was going to ask you as well, you've talked about how you're not seeing this as your first title defence, but a new title and a new chapter. Is that what you're referring to? You had to sort of start again and go back up against the killers in the gym and almost do it again. Is that the mindset?
And don't thinking about defend, you know. When you defend something, you don't advance, you know. When you defend, you stop in yourself, you know. I want to conquer something more, you know, and that's my mindset. My coach know that. Everybody keep that in my mind, and that's it, you know. I want to conquer something tomorrow, you know.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to let you go. Go and rehydrate.
Thank you so much.
Go and enjoy your day
Appreciate a lot.
with the family. We love watching you fight. Can't wait to see it go down, man.
That's exactly what I try to do, you know. People's watch my fight. Take care.
And they will be watching, man. Let me take that off you. Come on. You go and enjoy your day.
Take care. Bye.
Brilliant stuff. The champion there, Alexandre Pantoja, defending his championship tomorrow night, live on TNT Sports box office.
My guy.
The pair. Listen, the pair of them. They're both
I know.
brilliant human
God,
beings.
it's hard to
They speak
pick
so
who you wanna
well.
fight
Yeah,
and
of
win
course.
this one.
They speak so well. They're the epitome of why we love this sport.
Yeah.
They are proper blokes, away from it, but when it gets down to it, here we go, baby. Let's find out.
People keep referring to it as the fight of the main card that's going under the radar.
It is.
Don't be surprised if this is the fight that everybody's talking about come Monday morning.
I like to refer to it as frogs in a blender. do you know like when you sat outside on a warm summer's day and
You just put two frogs in a blender?
No,
that's not how I live
You've got
my
a
life.
you've got a nice cold pint of beer there, and then the wasps just start
Oh,
buzzing
you're
around
using
it.
a different analogy now. How many analogies are you going to use about
That's
that?
not a blender.
No. But you know, like, when you watch two wasps just having it, just
Oh, I
across,
see.
the cup. It's not working for you, is it?
No.
It's not working. Would you just prefer frogs in a blender?
Yeah, just
All
leave it
then.
there.
That's
Leave
what
it
that's what it's going to look like tomorrow night. So make sure you tune in. So if you like that analogy, listen, just two elite mixed martial artists are going to go at it and they're going to throw down and be super entertaining in the co-main event for the Flyweight World Championship. Should be an absolute cracker. Let's quickly, because we obviously when Alexander came in, you were talking about Shavkat and Wonderboy. Just quickly go back to that and on how excited you are of that fight.
Yeah, listen, Wonderboy weighed in then. He weighed in the scale, same as Shavkat, 171. That non-championship weight, absolutely perfect. And listen, there's a lot of people in this welterweight division who say a lot of things, but not many of them say, "Go on, yeah, Shavkat, I'll do it." And that's a fact. And the fact that Wonderboy at this stage of his career has gone, listen, I wanna do what Glover Teixeira's done. I want to do what Jan Blachowicz has done. I want to be a fighter in the 40s that wins that belt. What gets me there quickest? A win over Shavkat is a statement.
Yeah.
Because Shavkat is the bogeyman of the division. So that's why he's put himself in the line of fire. He's daring to be great, and you've got to respect it.
And you know full well he's not going to trash talk on the mic if he does manage to pull it off, which is a shame, because I would love him just to go full rogue. If he does pull it off and gets the great victory against Shavkat, get on there and start calling people out, man. That's what I want to see.
Not going to happen.
I know,
But he said he wanted an opponent ranked above him. He was asking for that, and he got it. You know, so if you ask for it, and they give you someone even as dangerous and young and as upcoming as Shavkat, you take it.
Absolutely. Cody Garbrandt just hitting scales there. Again, nobody's missed as of yet. We are still waiting the welterweight world champion. We're still waiting for Leon Edwards. Colby Covington has come through, came in at 169.5. Same weight that for the backup fighter, Bilal Muhammad. Still waiting for the champ. Still waiting for Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell came in as a late replacement opponent. This is now on the main card against Josh Emmett. He came in for Jikiki Kadzi. If you remember, he tore his groin. So hopefully everything's going well with both of those weight cuts for the two gentlemen that we're still waiting for on the main card. And we're still waiting for Irene Aldana as well from the prelims. Everybody else come through, done, dusted, on point, which is a good sign.
Watching Colby on the scales, like he talks about how he doesn't really cut weight. He's one of the very few fighters that likes to just stay at his true weight. And he was even sort of showing on the embedded series him eating pretty nicely in this fight week, and kind of using that as a bit of a I bet you're not eating as well as I'm eating type thing, sort of an upper hand if you like. But he's always in shape. We talk about his cardio, he's so lean. I think there was never in doubt, but I think Leon will come in looking sizably bigger come fight night in comparison to Colby.
Leon has a phenomenal frame, doesn't he? When you look at Leon Edwards, and we'll see him on the scale shortly, he doesn't even look like a mixed martial artist to me. He looks like a swimmer, because he's got a really tiny waist and he's got these huge muscular shoulders and big arms as well. What? Describe the man's physique.
We've been fanboying on Cody, now you're doing it on this guy. Come on.
He has, his body shape isn't necessarily what you expect from a mixed martial artist. He's very, very lean around the waist, but that means he can have much bigger shoulders, and he's got massive thighs as well. So, listen, the stylist, I don't think Leon struggles to make weight. I think, Colby going on in bed and eating steaks last week, that's nothing that impressive. He's always fit. They're both always fit. They're both always in shape. And Leon's got cardio for days just like Colby. I think people look at what happened in Salt Lake City and go, is Leon Edwards' cardio up for question? No, man. It's just because he's at altitude for the first time in his life and it hit him like a ton of bricks. But he come through it and he showed a real champion mindset to land that head kick and change his life and change the look of the division.
Do you think we're going to see that head kick again? Because he's shown a lot of footage of continuing to drill it in training. Even now, the interview with Rio Ferdinand again, he showed him, gave him a little taster of it, and Rio had a go.
Won't be surprised.
If Kamaru will bite on that feint, then Colby will bite on that same feint, because you're talking about an elite kickboxer in Leon Edwards and a capable kickboxer in Colby Covington. And once he gets tired, once Colby's hands start to drop a little bit, they're the type of openings that Leon absolutely will be looking for. Do not be surprised if it's the same shot that leads to the finish.
There's another fight on the main card that a lot of people are talking about. It's got a lot of British interest, of course. It is the return of Paddy Pimblett. He got injured off the back of his fight with Jared Gordon, which was 12 months ago. Lots going on in the man's life, and a lot going on as well in Tony Ferguson's life too. It is, as we were saying right at the start of the show, a huge fight for both men. I'm going to let him wax lyrical. I'm going to go full scouse here now. You ready? Here we go.
Have we got a translator?
Because there's so many questions, do we have enough data on both of these guys when we're trying to preview the fight?
In what regard? What do you mean?
As in, because Paddy's been out for a year.
Yes.
We don't necessarily know what he's going to be like when he comes back.
Yes.
What's the injury and all that type of stuff. And we know that Tony's on this skid. He's had this big training camp. Could it be a different version of him?
Well, that's it. That's the million-dollar question for me. I think we're going to see the best version of Paddy Pimblett we've ever seen inside the octagon, because he's motivated to make his statements. Now, let's not forget, he's had to take quite a lot of stick online, especially from fans recently. But Paddy did enter the UFC with a massive reputation. He stopped his first 3 opponents, and then he come through a real tough fight in New York, where he managed to get a victory. And it was listen, he didn't score the fight. Vegas, sorry.
Yeah.
It was the judges that scored the fight. He
Yes,
never scored the fight. My question is, Tony Ferguson. What version of Tony Ferguson are we going to see? Because, listen, this is him going against the creme de la creme of the lightweight division and coming up short. Right now, Paddy Pimblett isn't associated with being at the top of the lightweight division. So is Tony Ferguson got enough left in the tank to beat that level of fighter? Is it just the top guys that he's going to lose against? Or has Tony Ferguson, at this stage of his career, with so many miles on the clock, has he actually just fell off now? And is it perfect timing for Paddy to claim the biggest scalp of his career? That, for me, is the million-dollar question. What has Tony Ferguson got left against anybody? Never mind the top 10, against anybody. Because Paddy's more than capable of beating people in the top 15. This is the springboard he needs to get there.
Press conference, what did you make of it yesterday? Because they seem to obviously taking a backseat to everything that Colby was doing yesterday, and then they finished strong. So they kind of warmed themselves into it, and then all of a sudden they just went, go on then, we'll give you what you've come for. Get your popcorn out, bang. Tony went, Paddy went, and then we're back and forth.
I know, and I thought until that point Paddy was very quiet, as I mentioned earlier, but then we saw Paddy the baddie that the fans know and love come out. But he said repeatedly, he said, this is kind of like a lose-lose situation for me. He said, if I win this fight, well, Tony's washed up is what people would say. If I win this fight, well, you should have won it because Tony's on his way out. So it's probably a difficult spot to be in, but I think regardless of that, you're still getting a win over a legend. You're still getting a win over a named opponent that everybody knows and loves. And I think if, like what you said, Nick, he'd probably be quite respectful afterwards. You know, people don't want to see him talk on the mic the way he did after the last fight. I think that's what turned some people against him. I think this is also an opportunity for Paddy to get the fans back in his favour as well, which, you know, he doesn't deal with his own social media anymore, does he, because of some of the comments he was getting, which is sad. So I think this is people's memories are just as far back as the last fight in terms of fans quite often. So I think this is a chance for him to sort of win that favour back. And I think the press conference, coming back to what you said, just showed us that little fun side of Paddy again, you know, that we all know and love.
Sausage as a put down.
Yeah,
Thoughts.
it's the Tyson Fury saying, isn't it, as well?
I'm still not there yet.
I don't think Tony felt that offended, did he, being called a
I think
sausage?
my 9-year-old uses that on the playground. So.
Does he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I kind of like the PC thing, so the guys here don't have to bleep too many bits and bats.
True.
Yeah, as a put down, I don't know whether it translated with Tony Ferguson. I don't think it really comprehended with him going, the guy's calling me a what?
Well, to be honest,
And a Kinder Egg? What's my watch is out of a Kinder Egg? What's a
definitely
Kinder
flew
Egg?
But Paddy was talking about sausages, and Tony Ferguson was talking about ketchup sandwiches, and I was starving by the end of that press conference. I was thinking, someone get me a sausage butty quick.
What do you make of both men's mentalities, from what you've observed this week, been in and around interviews with the pair of them? Is anybody feeling pressure, do you think?
Well, listen, the obvious thing to say would be, oh, Tony's feeling the pressure, he's saying some incredible things, he's snapping at people, he's being truculent with some members of the media, he's this, he's that. But that's Tony Ferguson. He's been like that his entire career, so he can't really look too much into that. I think when Paddy met the media here a couple of days ago, he was very quiet. But I think an element of that was Paddy looking around the room going, I know what you said after the last fight, I know what you said after the last fight, so I ain't giving you clickbait for your website, I ain't giving you anything. So he was kind of quiet, obviously, until someone asked him about Liverpool Football Club, and then he opened up and he got animated and he got excited. But yeah, I thought we saw a really reserved Paddy Pimblett. And I think what the last year has taught him as well is that maybe sometimes he has to not necessarily always wear his heart on his sleeve. He's got to keep himself in check a little bit every now and again, because you give people an inch and they'll take a mile.
But he's also coming off a very serious injury, like artificial ligaments in his
exactly.
foot or ankle or whatever it is.
Proper.
And I think no matter how you train with those kind of injuries, when it comes to competition, we saw when Chris Weidman came back off that horrific leg break, he was throwing that kick in training, he was confident, but then when he did it in competition, when he did it...
Psychological, isn't it?
Yeah, but it reacts different.
Of course it does.
You go that extra several percent in a fight, in a competition, compared to training. You just do. The adrenaline's there, everything's there. So that's when you really test how an injury is really doing. I don't think you can do enough in training to really give you all the answers that you want.
There you go. We're going to find out, aren't we? Saturday night. For further information on this, by the way, prelims are going to get underway from 1 a.m. On Saturday night. Make sure you come and join us for that. That's on TNT Sports 1. And then head to TNT Sports box office at 3 for the main card. 2 title fights, hopefully, and a stacked card of sensational fighters to finish off the year in style. Let me tell you, we are putting a partridge in the pear tree with this card. tntsports.co.uk/box office. Go there, all the information is there for you, and of course very easy instructions of how you can purchase the final fight card of the year. Just being around it in Vegas as well, it's the perfect place to end the year, isn't it?
Of course it is. Listen, it always delivers, this card as well. This December card to end the year. You know, it's unusual wandering around the desert and the sun's high in the sky and there's Christmas trees and people dressed as
You're making them
Santa.
jealous. We know it's snowing at home. We know that it's blowing a gale.
Still cold here. Still a little bit cold.
This is the lady that lives in LA. This is cold for her.
This is cold, exactly. I was in the pool this morning.
But listen, there's a lot going on with fight sports, combat sports all over the world. Different territories are trying to get involved and make it the home of fight sports. it ain't ever going to be the home of fight sports, because Las Vegas is always going to be the king, isn't it?
And even Leon Edwards has turned around and said this is every kid's dream, every
course
fighter little kid's dream to fight in Vegas. So we saw, he won the belt in Salt Lake City. He didn't even know where Salt Lake City was until he obviously won the belt there. Obviously, defending on home soil is a big deal as well. But then you get the fight capital of the world, like you said, nowhere like Las Vegas when it comes to fight sports. Madison Square Garden pretty close, I think, as well. But when it comes to the end of the year, Las Vegas card, headlining, defending against new, fresh blood in Colby Covington.
Massive
I don't think it gets
character.
any better.
Nah. And he's on pay-per-view points, so cha-ching for Christmas.
Yeah.
Kid from Birmingham, up in the bright lights of Sin City. Leon in neon. See what I did? Oh, you didn't leave me like that either. I'm having a banger.
Leon would have been better, but come on.
Okay, all right. Now, one of the other narratives connected to UFC 296 is obviously being Ian Machado Gary not being a part of the card. We were all incredibly looking forward to Vicente Luque. What a fight that would have been. Gutted for Vicente Luque that we couldn't get a fight turned around. There were lots of rumours over the last 24, 48 hours as to whether he and Kevin Holland could come to some type of deal, whether it be a catchweight or whatever. Listen, both of those guys, knowing them as I do, absolute savages, they were in. It's just the logistics of whether you can get things over the line with certain commissions. Fingers crossed they can actually make that fight, because I'm dead interested in watching it. And whatever is going on with Ian Gary, we haven't been able to speak to him or get any information from him and his team as of yet. We wish him all the best, and fingers crossed we get to see him in the octagon sometime soon. That leads us on to the fight that has replaced that fight on the main card, and this is the fight that is going to be kicking off the main card, as Josh Emmett is taking on a replacement opponent in Bryce Mitchell. Still to wait for Bryce Mitchell to hit the scales very, very shortly. But what a matchup. Hold that thought.
It's could be the man.
Timed it well, didn't I? Because here comes the champion.
50 minutes, cool, calm, collected. There was never any rush to get to the
Listen,
scales.
this is logistical. You go first, get Colby out the room, and then you can come in. That's
Probably.
basically how this has worked out.
On the dot.
170, the official weight for Leon Rocky Edwards. And with that, the UFC 296 main event is official.
There is that swimmer's physique that Nick Peake was talking about a little earlier on.
So Bilal sadly is, well, not sadly, because we want Leon to fight, but for him, Bilal's probably backstage.
Yeah, well,
Damn it. Nearly
But
got a
again,
shot.
Bilal's locked in now.
Absolutely.
He is going to get the winner. That is for sure. So that he's done the right thing, because if Shavkat did something special, if Stephen Thompson did something special, who knows? Because there's always an narrative to be sold by way, and then he's just said, listen, I'm next, regardless of what happens. It's intelligent stuff.
We can all calm down now. I know that you were a little bit nervous, just a touch, weren't you? You were sat at home going, what's going on, what is he? Well, he's here. Listen, he's chilled, didn't he? Just chilled, walked on in, hit the scales, 170, we've got a title fight. In fact, we've got 2 title fights, because that's your men, your co-men, absolutely locked in. Cannot wait for both of those fights to go down. The only person that we are waiting for off the main card is Bryce Mitchell, who we were talking about a split second ago. I let it in really nicely. Leon interrupted me. I apologise for that. Let's get back to this fight, shall we? Because Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell is set to be an absolute... They're all interrupting me, and I'm not. And we're going to bring him straight in. Let's not mess about, because we want him to get on with his day. Here comes
The Paddy.
Pimblett.
What's happening?
How are you, buddy?
All good, mate.
I'm good, what's going down?
Good. Very well indeed. Welcome back to the show. Last 24 hours, relatively straightforward for you on the cut. All nice and easy.
Easy work. Easy work though. Started 166, woke up this morning 157. Weighed in 155.5. Easy.
Perfect. We know that in previous camps, obviously, your weight can balloon and then you bring it down, you have a big cut. But with the time you've had off, has that weight been coming down sort of sooner? Do you feel like, because you've been so eager to come back, that, the weight cut was easier as a result?
Yeah, when I got married in May I was only about 86 kg, and then started camp I was about 83, something like that.
Got to look good in that suit for wedding night, you mate.
Yeah,
You got to look right.
And a big massive cheeks out for the wedding, so yeah, it kept me weight down relatively nice. It's been an easy camp.
It felt like there was no ballooning up after Jared Gordon whatsoever. Is that because you didn't feel like you deserved to celebrate, deserved to treat yourself?
Yeah, a
deserved
little
to
bit like...
snack a little bit?
Yeah, I did balloon up a little bit when I went to America. You know what I mean? When you go to the States, lad,
It's inevitable.
it's inevitable.
About it.
Like, them free refills just get you hard, and obviously the big greasy burgers and that. But yeah, I didn't feel like I deserved it as much, so I didn't put as much weight on as I normally do. I think after the Vargas and the Jordan Lever fight, I went up to like £210. You know what I mean? and that's just too fat.
Yeah. Talk to us about the press conference yesterday, because you seemed just pretty chill for the most part, just letting Colby do his thing, and then you sort of bit back a little bit when you and Tony started going at it.
But it's just done me head in, to be honest, because I've been nothing but respectful all camp, said nothing but nice things about him, and then he wants to start talking shit. Know what I mean? Sound lad.
Did you expect it though? Because Tony's been like that his entire career. He's unorthodox. He says crazy things. He does crazy things.
I know the first thing I ever remember of Tony, actually, when I think about it now, is him being a piece of shit, saying to someone, "Where's your son?" Know what I mean? When he hasn't seen him for years. So Tony is a piece of shit, and I'm gonna beat him up for it on tomorrow.
Have you been frustrated this year? Have you?
Yeah, of course.
With the timeout.
Yeah, having to get surgery, lad, and just sit on the sidelines after my worst UFC performance is the most frustrating thing ever. But we're through the other side now. Know what I mean? As I've said in several interviews, tough times create tough people, and that's what this is.
I know that you obviously spent time with Nick last week, having a good old chinwag. Exciting times in your personal life as well on the horizon. Gives you a new incentive,
newfound motivation.
Yeah,
know what I mean? And me babies will be in the arena in my bird's belly, so can't lose in front of them. Simple as that.
Fantastic, man.
What does a win over Tony do for you? I mean, a lot of people talk about his losing streak, but it's still Tony Ferguson. He's still a huge name within the sport. What do you think that win will do for you?
It's more the name. Know what I mean? I'll beat a former interim champion, a legend of the UFC, but I'm not even thinking about that now. I'm just thinking about smashing his head and giving him more brain damage than he's already got, this silly old bastard.
When you envisage the fight pad, does Emmett strikes? Do you choke him out? Are we going to see a flying
Whatever
triangle?
I want. Whatever I want. I think I can come out and blast him with this combo I've been working in the first 10 seconds and knock him out if I catch him with it. Something me and Ellis have been working on the pads for the past couple of months. I think I can come out. There's a few things we've been working, lad, and it's funny because when I knock him out with one of them, we'll have it on video from the PI or from back in next gen when we've been practicing it. But I'd love to take him down now and give him as much damage as possible and hurt his brain. Know what I mean? After him talking shit, I'd love to elbow him 48 times and rearrange his face. And
then once all that's done, you've said it's just a burger, and then you've got to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning because the Reds are playing.
Watching the Reds.
Oh, look at this lad. He's already booked you.
I've already been invited to a Liverpool supporters club, Nick. I'll send you the details when I get there.
Oh, carnage on a Sunday morning in
like the in and out burger. Get high and then go to sleep.
That's how he rolls, man.
Have you got a name on the tip of your tongue that you might call out afterwards?
Nah, I don't. As I've said before, I don't need to call anyone out. Everyone talks about me. Know what I mean? But as I say, beat Tony, fight someone ranked, just like Bobby Green did. Know what I mean? He beat Tony, then he got the Grant Dawson fight. I think beat Tony, fight someone ranked 15 to 10, 11. Know what I mean? Something like that. And
sets up a phenomenal 2024, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's a phenomenal one. Listen, we're going to let you get on with the rest of your day. I know that you want to.
I'm off to go and get a brekkie.
You go and do that, lad. Go and do that.
Peace out.
See you later, mate. Great to speak to you.
Paddy.
There you go. For those that are consuming the press conference, I know that it's a bit of choice language. Listen, it is what it is. It's the fight game, innit? Hopefully you're not offended by it, but we apologise on behalf of TNT Sports for some of the words that you heard there. Didn't use the word sausage, did he?
He's going to get one, I think.
Yeah, I think he has. He's on his way now. Whilst we were chatting there was a little bit of a weigh-in because Bryce Mitchell, gladly, came through 145.5. So there you go, on the button. So Bryce Mitchell will be kicking off the main card against Josh Emmett, a fight that we were just talking about a moment or two ago. This is the backup. Is he waiting? Is he? Here he is. Here's the backup for the co-main event, which kind of insinuates everything that we just were speaking about Bilal. Listen, he's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. It's Brandon Moreno. He's weighing in. He's going to hit weight, and therefore, hang on, boys, I want my belt back. So once you've sorted yourselves out, he wants to rock and roll again, does Mr. Moreno?
I love it. That's what it's all
No,
about.
absolutely.
Get in town,
There's
rock
just
up,
that
make weight. I'm next.
Yeah, there's
Good
that
man.
handful of top flyweights and that belts switching around and
Yeah,
they're
it's a hot
fighting one
potato.
another. I mean, they've both fought Moreno
Listen,
before.
there's a little guy from the UK that is chirping
On
up
the
every
march.
2 minutes, and we know that he's going to be featured at the start of March on the Saudi Arabian
Yep.
card, isn't he? He's got a lovely little fight there which will absolutely propel him forward. He's probably, and he's going to be upset with me now, is Mo, he's probably going to miss out on that date
Unfortunately.
in order to try and become champion, but I would not back against him getting closer to the opportunity in 2024, because if he can come through at the start of March, might set up something with Kai Kara France or set up
Could be looking at this time next year.
Exactly that.
Back end of next year, Mo Mokaev should be able to position himself, if he can get 2 more wins on the register, position himself as a top contender. I know he's frustrated. I know personally he really wanted the opportunity to beat John Jones and become the youngest UFC champion of all time. But guess what? That could have been beaten by somebody else in a year or two's time, and that record goes. What's more important is getting the title fight at the right time for you, when you're physically ready, when you're strong enough. And then who knows, Mo Mokaev could be the next great flyweight champion and hold on to it for a long time. That's what we want.
But what you said moments ago, Caroline, this division was gone 5 years ago, wasn't it? You know what I mean? The UFC were actually having proper conversations as to do we want it or not? And then, luckily, through Henry, through Davison Figueiredo, through Brendan Moreno, it has reignited. It's become one of the most exciting divisions, and like I said, it's called main event. It's probably going to be delivering a fight of the night at the weekend for us.
I know, talk about the bonuses. I mean, this division is just stacking up the bonuses, fight of the night performances, performance of the nights, etc. as well. Was it April by which Mo would have had to...
Yes.
So it would have been a
Mid-April.
fast turnaround anyway. He would have had to get the winner of this fight. So
I think we were pipe dreaming UFC 300, but I think now he's locked in for Saudi Arabia. I think they've realised that, it ain't going to happen for him.
Yeah. Obviously, we have got a new fight kicking off the main card in Josh Emmett taking on Bryce Mitchell, which we're delighted that we're getting that because it is a fantastic matchup. But the original was Vicente Luque against Ian Gary. It's been quite difficult to maybe make a solid comment on everything Ian Gary this week because it's all up in the air. We haven't had any real interaction with him. We don't know what's going on. There's loads of people talking this, talking that. There's loads of rumours out there. People on social media have their own opinions of everything that's been going on. What have you made of it all from an Ian point of view, and do you have any major concerns going forward regarding where his head would be at coming into a big fight week like this?
Well, Ian keeps a very close-knit group around him. He's, his family is such a strong unit, his team, and a lot of the things that were said were untrue, unfair, but they play that social media game, and he's, had the mugshot on of Jeff Neal, the comments about Neil Magny, so I'm saying I can see why other fighters may have had some frustrations towards him, but there's still levels that you don't cross. And I think when you bring people's family into it, other fighters bringing his wife and Layla and child and so forth into it, I think that's a line that shouldn't necessarily be crossed. I don't know where their head's at. Apparently he has pneumonia. That is a very serious thing. Pneumonia takes a long time to recover from, so obviously, as you said, we wish him all the best. In terms of where his head's at, I think he would have wanted a fight, because it doesn't matter what everybody's saying. If you can step in there and put on an incredible performance and win, it kind of all goes away.
Exactly.
So this is probably the worst thing that could have happened to him, given all of this talk that's been surrounding
it's a bit
the family
like a different storyline, of course, but it's a bit like Paddy getting injured after his worst performance inside the octagon, and taking all that criticism and then having to spend a year carrying that around. Ian, now this will rumble on. The negativity on social media, the mud getting thrown at him by various fighters across multiple weight divisions will continue and continue and continue, and that's a real shame for Ian, because this, as you say, this was the opportunity for Ian to go, right, put that behind me. I've got the biggest win of my career over Vicente Luque. I've got a narrative with the champion. Let's go. Let's push on. Forget about the likes of Shavkat and everybody else. I'm next. Push me forward. Right, when's Dublin? Let's go. I'm the main event. And do Ian Gary. And the timing of the illness, and again, we can only wish him well, and hopefully he makes a full recovery soon, and we do see him early in 2024. The just timing of it couldn't have been any worse, because I feel like it will rumble on now.
For him.
Me too. Absolutely devastated.
This was a huge week, and I know there's a lot of things going on away from fighting, but this was a huge week for the development of his career. Vicente Luque was a top fight, a really good fight. You beat Vicente Luque, you're not too far away from being able to make some serious noise at the very top of this division.
And also,
plus he gets back to change the narrative. There's your microphone, change the narrative now, talk about something else, call out Leon, call out whoever, and suddenly everything else is put behind them and they can move forward. That's the frustrating thing for me. And
with so many top welterweight fights on this card, it was a really nice position and placing on that main card to be sitting. But wishing him well, like we said, you know, hopefully we get to still see that fight. You know, teammate versus teammate, and
well, it makes perfect sense to remake it.
Well, the fact that the Luque Kevin Holland fight wasn't able to be made, hopefully, is an indicator that he is going to make a complete recovery soon, and there is an opportunity maybe to spin it out early in January, whether it's in Toronto, whether it's, you know, just one of these big pay-per-view events that UFC have got booked in Q1 of 2024. Hopefully that's why Luque said, you know what, actually, kick back, we're going to do it in a couple of weeks' time.
Is that true? Is that true? Can we get? How do I get to speak to him? Because I'm led to believe that Ian Gary's actually watching the show.
Oh.
And he's available to speak to us on the phone, but I can't hear him. So how will we make that?
Oh, okay.
How will we make that happen?
Well, Layla was just calling me, and I didn't know
Well,
whether to pick up. So maybe.
I'll tell you what. Just bear with us, because hopefully, Mr. Gary,
This is live TV, kids.
this is how we're
No,
rocking
it'd be
and
good to
rolling.
hear from Ian.
So fingers crossed, we'll get the opportunity to speak to Ian.
Would you want me to call back here?
This is going to be interesting to see how that happens,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because this is modern technology, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we can. We're just going to try and put you on air now.
Here we go.
I'm on speaker.
Let me put him on this mic.
Right, there we go. We've got the microphone there. Mr. Gary.
Hi, Ian.
Look at this. There we go. Ian, obviously, this week, talk us through the situation that you found yourself in this week. Firstly, how's the health?
I can barely breathe. It's upsetting, it's irritating, it's annoying, because you guys know I love to fight more than anything, and I've never pulled out of a fight, I've never had to been in this situation, but here we are, and we'll deal with it the way we deal with everything, the best in the world.
What's the long-term diagnosis, Ian? Obviously, pneumonia is quite a big thing. That's going to put you out for a period of time. What have the doctors said?
I mean, the truth is, I've got what I've got. I'll deal with it, and then we'll get back on the horse and we'll fight.
There were rumours as well, and these are only rumours, so you can put these to bed now. That obviously your little one was ill too. What's the situation there, mate? Is everything okay?
That's
You just broke up on us there, Ian.
That's Chael talking out his fucking arse and making stuff up with his creative journalism license.
I know you're struggling, obviously, with the illness at the moment to be able to speak and with breathing and what have you. So we can put that to bed. That your little one's all fit, healthy, and everything's
Yeah,
safe.
he's fine.
Brilliant.
No, he's absolutely fine. And the only thing is, he's more annoyed that he can't go and watch the fights. He loves watching the fights, that he knows. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know that I'm good.
Good.
Good, man. I can tell. Listen, I can tell that you're struggling, and obviously we're struggling with a little bit with the signal as well. It's good to hear from you, and get well, get fit and healthy, and hopefully we can when you can breathe properly, mate, we'll have a proper conversation and look forward to a new fight week in the new year. All right, mate.
Get well,
Let me
Ian.
leave you guys.
Top man. There you go.
Well.
Thank you very much for this live telly, man. Live telly. That's how we rock and roll. Ian Gary there joining us for a brief. You could tell there with
Doesn't
the way that
sound
he was
good.
speaking.
Yeah.
He's not
Couldn't
in
even
the
catch
crisp
his
yet.
breath.
But
Yeah.
good to hear that his little one's all right,
Yeah.
because that was a rumour that came out throughout the course of this week. And from his point of view, as he said there, incredibly frustrating that he didn't get the opportunity to perform on this at the weekend because of what that fight could have done for his 2024. Okay, health is wealth. Let's get that sorted.
Yeah.
But there's going to be many opportunities. From my conversation with Dana a little earlier on this week, he's incredibly keen to go back to Ireland at some point with the UFC. Ian Gary's the perfect person to be putting on that card. And as this might play out, I mean, I don't know too much about pneumonia and what and the illness that Ian has and how long that's going to put him out for. But we're talking summertime next year, where the UFC will be looking at maybe coming to Britain or Ireland, whatever they decide on, and that could actually work in his favour. Perfect time to come back to the UFC and a fight against Vincente, or I mean, the dream fight for me would to see him in with Wonderboy or something like that. But you know, something
Well,
like that
he's
would be
asked for
good.
that fight
Yeah,
before,
something like that
hasn't
would be good.
Yeah.
Back over on British or Irish soil next year.
Yeah, so many huge cards coming up next year. I mean, it's absolutely stacked. January, February, March, and we've got UFC 300 to look forward to as well. Ian's still so young, and he's just getting better and better. And we've seen the work that he's been putting in camp. He's been out in Brazil. He's been all over. You know, he'll be raring to go, but he's got to look after his health. That really impacts
And
the
his
lungs.
family.
Look
Listen.
after his health, look after his family, and I'm sure we're going to see him back.
A lot of trash talk, a lot of low blows, a lot of rumours, and let's face it, Ian's just cleared it up there. A lot of nonsense has gone viral about Ian Gary over the last few weeks. I hope that goes viral, because anyone can hear in his voice there that he is really struggling. He genuinely is ill. Right? So you can stop all the nonsense on social media now. He's in a bad way. You can hear that in his voice. Because you know what? as much as the firestorm was around, and it was one of the biggest narratives coming into fight week, was Ian Gary, the social media explosion, everybody taking cheap shots at him. He'd have come in this week and owned this week. I truly believe that. He'd have come in with a snappy suit on, he'd have embraced it all, he'd have rubbed it in everybody's face, and he'd have owned this fight week, and we'd have seen him go to the next level as an athlete.
Yeah, we said that throughout the course of the week, that would probably be his take.
Yeah, and not only that, sometimes people forget, or fans forget, that when the UFC doctors say you're not fighting, that's
right.
it.
Of course.
You don't even get that choice. Even if you were prepared to go in there with one lung or one leg, the UFC will tell you if you're not medically cleared to fight.
Can I just say, I know you're still watching Ian, right? You've made the right choice. This is the best live weighing show that is available for you right now. I know that there's other options for you to tune in into, but well done, mate. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Tremendous. That's what we like to see. The fighters watch this one.
Of course.
That's what we like to see. Listen, if you are just joining the show, everybody's come through by bar Irene Aldana. So we've got a championship fight in the welterweight division, we've got a championship fight in the flyweight division. That's all done and dusted. Great stuff that we've just been speaking about Ian, but the replacement fight as well. We were just waiting for Bryce Mitchell to come through. He came through whilst we were chatting away. So his fight with Josh Emmett is done and dusted. Paddy's been on the show already. Tony Ferguson's been on the scales too. That's wicked and signed off. And his boy Shavkat against my boy Stephen Thompson as well. Both of those coming through and looking good too. Oh, right. Take a breath. Have a little breather. I'm still a little bit upset with our production team for not bringing Cody Garbrandt through for us right now, because you know what I mean. People want to see some serious fanboy, and that's what we want to see. And they also want to see this man speak full Kazakh
Again.
Now, this has not been made public yet to the TNT
No, it's not gone live yet.
audience.
Well,
It
it's
will
coming
be.
soon.
It will be.
In the next few hours, I'm told the Shavkat interview will be going live on TNT's YouTube channel.
Okay. So
And there was a
Get
little
your
bit-
Google Translate ready.
That's right. He has. Would you like to tell the story, actually, of how have you become one of the largest overseas journalists in Kazakhstan? How has this materialised?
Well, I was contacted last year because obviously I've been talking Shavkat prior to his UFC debut. I've been head of the Shavkat fan club since day one. Sorry, Miss Sanko, but you know, take your place behind me and Q. And I was communicating a lot with the Kazakh national newspapers and everything else, and they were, you know, asking me about how Europe and the rest of the US feel about Shavkat and his future. And one thing led to another. I struck up a friendship with a guy called Alexander, who's the sports editor out there. And I said, listen, I want to speak to Shavkat, but I want to speak to him in Kazakh. Can you please help me? Duolingo doesn't actually have Kazakhstan, or I couldn't find anywhere to do it. So he sent me some voice notes. I've been practicing the last few weeks. Yeah. And this week, I sat down with Shavkat, and we had a crack in Kazakhstan.
There you go. So if you want to see some, is it Scousistan? Is that what it's called?
Scousistan, I think it
There you
is.
go.
Yeah.
Scousistan. A bit like when Till did Scouser Geese. This is him doing Scousistan. So make sure you're checking that out a little later on today for you. We've got another guest. Now, it's a guest that you might not have expected to be on this particular card, but I'm delighted to see him because he always brings some fantastic energy. It is the one and only Mr. Brendan Moreno. It is. Come on, let's get him on the show. Come on, pal. The big welcome, sir. Good to see you, buddy. Great to see you. Great to see you.
Much.
Listen, the big question is this, right? Are you getting more Lego for Christmas?
Maybe. I mean, at least I'm getting some money for this. So I'm getting money for Christmas. So
Wicked.
maybe something good is coming from me very soon.
Very good. Talk to me about the mentality of weighing in. Obviously, you're not competing tomorrow evening, but weighing in, hitting championship weight, just to send a message. Oi, I'm next.
Hey, I think that's the most important thing. Just that message, like, hey, I'm here. I'm just always hustling. And that's it. I understand the motivation is a little bit different because you don't have a real fight. So, but even with that, you have to make weight and everything. And actually, also was a short notice weight cut. I cut a lot of weight in a short period of time, but we made it. And I'm happy right now, and I'm drinking water.
When did they ask you to be the backup fighter?
2 weeks ago, they make it official.
Wow.
Okay, actually, I was trying to keep my weight, like, you know,
just in case.
Not really high, just in case. But even with that, my weight was a little bit high. So immediately when they make it official, I started my diet, very disciplined, and I made it.
We've obviously spent all week talking about the fight. We truly believe it could be the fight of the night, the actual fight on the card that really jumps out. You know both these guys well. You've fought them both. You've done camps for them both. Can you tell us how you think the fight's going to play out?
Well, man, so I think it will be a very competitive fight. Pantoja has to be the favorite in this one, but I think Royval can do something. You know, I think the first one he was kind of winning the fight with a lot of distance, with a lot of straight shots. But in some point he got a little bit emotional and crazy, and he closed too much the distance. Pantoja got the advantage and then got the back and finish. So if Royval can keep his mind disciplined and keep the fight smart, I think he can do something there.
How difficult is that to do, Brandon? Obviously you've been there, done it and got the t-shirt, right? How difficult is it when there's 20,000 people going crazy, they want the action, you're in there with another guy, you're having a fight, emotion to go in. How hard is it to keep your mind in the fridge?
Brother, I mean, it's really hard. I can even explain, but at the end, the better fighters, you know, I don't know, Volkanovski, the best fighters in the world can manage those emotions in the middle of the fight. That's why they are the best in the world.
Given how close your fight was with Pantoja, that last fight, how soon do you want, you know, you've weighed in now, you'll obviously want to recover, but how soon would you like to go at it again and have that next shot at the title?
I have an official fight in February against Amir Al-Basi, so I have to win that fight. I know I will get the W that night, but in the meantime, I have to wait until that moment, get the victory, and then send a message to Pantoja and the promotion, like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still the best. I made a little mistake in my last fight against Pantoja, but I really fixed it, so I'm ready.
So you'd happily do a sort of fairly quick turnaround, given that this fight is December, yours is in a couple of months' time, in order to get that next shot?
For sure. I mean, actually, also this week I prepare myself, prepare my body for the next one. So I think the next one will be easier for me.
What will the next few weeks look like then? No Christmas, no roast potatoes for you on Christmas Day, no?
A little bit, you know. Actually, my last 2 years I spent my Christmas and my New Year's in cutting weight.
Yes.
Because I fought in January.
Yeah.
So that was insane. That was crazy. Not just for me, even for my family. Yeah. This time I will enjoy a little bit with my family. Then start again in January for sure.
Listen, man, we're going to let you go and rehydrate and enjoy the rest of the day. Oh, have we got a nice suit for tomorrow? Are you coming blinging? Have you got big shades? Or you got something special? You got something
See you guys.
Good to see you, Brad.
What a guy. There you go, former champion Brandon Moreno, who gave us an absolute brilliant fight with Alexander Pantoja a little earlier on this year. Great to see his smiling face. As he said there, he is taking on Al-Balzi in February, as he just pointed out, which is an incredible fight in itself. You come through that, kind of next in line.
Of course.
It's interesting being given that backup fighter spot when you have a fight booked. I always think
he's the name.
Yeah.
Let's be in the division. With all due respect to the rest of the guys and girls that are in the division, he's the name of the division still. Especially with Davison moving up now and doing what he's doing up in the weight division above. If something was to fall off, and thank God it didn't, we all wanted this particular fight. But if something was to fall off, he would be the one that you could sell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Compared to everybody else.
Pantoja's a big champion as well. He's a big flyweight here. It's a tough weight cut for him, so it makes sense for the UFC, especially the end of year big show. Let's just have a backup just in case. Make sure we get 2 title fights on the line.
He's going to come with a Rascal shirt tomorrow, isn't he? That's right. Full Rascal shirt, shades on.
He's going to go full Tom Aspinall, is he? Or maybe not that level of Rascal, because that was as bad as your shoes earlier this week. Rascal, wasn't it? Let's not call Tom out about that silly shirt.
I think a confident man.
We're going to get another phone call in a minute, aren't we, from someone that's watching the show. I'm having nothing to do with that, Mr. Aspinall. I liked it.
You coward.
It's only because everybody's giving me abuse for my shoes this week. That's why I'm on board with that. Right. Let's have a little bit of a look again once at that main card, shall we? Because this goes down in the early hours of Sunday morning for you back home in the UK. That new fight that's been boosted up from the prelims. Josh Emmett was originally fighting Jika Kakadze. He's now fighting Bryce Mitchell. An absolutely fantastic fight in the featherweight division. Kicking us off on this main card. Tony Ferguson and Paddy Pimblett. Doesn't really need me to sell it to you. You know exactly what that is. It's going to be a belter. Shavkat Rakhmonov in a step up in class against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, even though he is higher ranked than Stephen Thompson. Thompson has been there, done it and got the t-shirt, and this is an opportunity for Shavkat to really cement himself further with this impeccable record that he's got. And it could be a coming out party here in Las Vegas for the Kazakh favourite. We've got the Flyweight Championship bout between Alexander Pantoja and Brandon Royval. We spoke to both of those guys on this show. We're tipping it for fight of the night. It could be a belter. And then the welterweight title main event is Leon Rocky Edwards defending his championship belt for the second time, this time against Colby Covington, who is attempting to become a champion. It's his third attempt at becoming UFC champion. Will it be third time a charm? Main card gets going at 3 a.m. on TNT Sports box office. Information on that is on the website, very simply, tntsports.co.uk/box office. Go and have a little bit of a nosy. Everything is there for you. Click the button. You're not going to want to miss it. Don't turn your nose up at it, because it's absolutely stacked from top to bottom, and those title fights are going to be something very, 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 very special. It's getting noisy back there, isn't it? They're getting a little bit rowdy all there.
Well, they're all starting to eat again now and hydrate.
They've all got a bit of energy now. That's it. They've got a few sugars and salts back into the system, and we're going to be seeing them throw down. Like I said, prelims from 1, main card from 3. Should be an absolute belter. Now then, I think that's it for us, because we've got the ceremonials that are coming a little bit later on. Fingers crossed, Big Steve's got his takedown defence ready to rock and roll, because I don't think they're going to be going backwards, are they? They're definitely going to be. He's going to want to get in his eyes. He's going to want to look into the soul of Colby Covington, just to let him know, listen, man, you've said what you've said. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you talked about with Colby, you were saying sort of third time a charm, third time lucky. Do you think this is potentially his last shot?
It's interesting. He's 35 years of age. Only one person in UFC history has become UFC champion, having failed on the first 2 occasions. That was BJ Penn. There's been plenty of other people who've had a go at it.
Yeah.
If we remember, I'm thinking flyweights.
Joey
Benavidez had 4. He's had the most amounts and not managed to get it over the line. Obviously, Chael had attempts as well. They didn't get it over the line on that third occasion. Only BJ Penn. So he's having to defy history tomorrow night, is Colby.
So is Leon. Leon's having to defy history as well. No Brit has ever defended a UFC championship on American soil. Bisping, of course, won the belt in the US.
That's for days today, kids.
Defended the belt in the UK, but lost against George St. Pierre in New York City.
Yes.
Leon can become the first British UFC champion to successfully defend on US soil.
Tom, I saw you win one, just in case you're chirping up.
Leon won one. Leon won one. It's a defending it.
Oh, yeah.
Defending
Well
it.
done. All right, mate. There you go.
Yes.
Listen, it's all going to be sensational to finish off the year in style on TNT Sports box office. Make sure you get stuck into it. That main card is going to be crazy. Once again, tntsports.co.uk/box office for further information on how you purchase this stellar pay-per-view card. Tell you, we've got 5 gold rings, we've got French ends, we've got the lot, man. It's a festive, fanatical showdown here in Sin City, and we can't wait to bring it you. Make sure you come and join us for the partridge in a pear tree.
Noise.
Get that bell ready for me!
Can be unsettling. Loud. Tony's here. Disturbing. But silence can be deafening. UFC 296 live on TNT Sports box office.